What is up? This is the War Dog. Welcome to Comic Book Theater. And today we are going to talk about
comics.
Oh yeah. Today we got Shinwar. This is so awesome. I'm so excited to have Shinwar joining us. He told me not to do this, but I mean, this dude is an inspiration to me as a video maker on Facebook. He truly is what this comic book family is all about. You know, he buys comics, he supports the comic book industry, he makes videos, he tells people about what's going on in the comic books. There's been many times that I have read that I've watched his video and he's told me about things that I need to go and get. And I end up going to the comic book store for a second time to go get it. And I love it. My wallet doesn't like it so much. but Shinwar is awesome. And I am so grateful to have him join us. And you guys are lucky. If you watch this, and you should watch this, you're lucky. He's got a YouTube channel. He can tell you a little bit more about his YouTube channel. I don't want to mess it up. But you definitely check him out. If you see him on Facebook, check out his videos. He's one of the good guys, and I am so grateful to have him. John, why don't you talk about a little bit what we're going to talk about today?
Right on, Todd. Thanks, man. Yeah, absolute pleasure to have Shinwar on with us. And we're gonna start out with a fairly hot topic today. Okay. And I mean, everybody knows we call him the dollar bin whisperer around here, Donnie Cates. That cat, he's one of those dudes to me that if you're not on Twitter, you should be on Twitter just for Donnie Cates.
Yes, sir. Yep.
I'm not gonna. I have to pay $1 every time I mention another guy that you should be on Twitter for as well. So I'm not going to mention him tonight if I can help it at all. I tricked myself into it last week. Not going to do it this week.
Well,
anyway, you owe $1 now, Todd. You owe $1.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Anyway, yeah, it's all good. Anyway, so he's in the news because they put the Venom symbiote on Hulk. And somebody asked him on Twitter, doesn't the what if number 4, doesn't that count as the first appearance? And Donnie Cates says, what ifs don't count. So I'm dying to get your opinion on it. I think we're all going to have some kind of opinion on it. But Shinwar, what's your opinion, man?
All right, before I start, I just want to say thank you guys. I'm honored to be here. It's a long time coming. Shout out to you, JR. Shout out to Todd, War Dog. Thank you guys. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. First of all, Hulk is my favorite character. And it dawned on me that he has never worn the Venom symbiote. Like, I'm thinking back, I'm like, yeah, he's never worn it. So, you know, at the end of that issue, you know, spoilers if you haven't read it, you know, the We Are Hulk, I saw that and I was just like, oh, wow. And if you really pay attention to Carnage's face when he said, after the Hulk, when the symbiote went on to Bruce Banner and, you know, he became Hulk and he hit Carnage, Carnage was like, whoa, what was that? You know, what hit me pretty much? And if you look at his face, he was like a little fearful. And I'm just like, wow, the Hulk is here. Hulk Venom, smashing time, baby.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And look, even for old guys like me, I'm a sucker for what ifs. I said that on Instagram today. Somebody asked if because let's be real here too. The other thing that brought this up is Key Collector Comics sent out the top 20, and the What If was on there, and so was the Young Guns variant for this Absolute Carnage.
Yeah.
Amazing. It was a great cover. Love it.
Yeah.
So that's another part that kind of brought this to our attention. So we want to thank Nick over at Key Collector as well for bringing this up, because it's a great conversation. Personal preference for me,
Mhm.
I always go with first appearances being chronologically first appearance, whether it's in continuity or not.
Right.
Now, whenever we go to the black suit, the pre anything in any storyline, I don't really count those. I like them;
Mhm.
they're cool, they're novel, but I
Yeah.
don't really count them. So in this instance, I actually do go back to the what if myself personally, even though I understand Donnie Cates's point, it's not in continuity. But I also have said previously on here, man, one of my favorite all time what ifs, and
Mhm.
whenever they put it out in the True Believers, man, for $1, you got to go pick that up if you haven't already. Um, do are you get into any what if books or anything like that, or you stick strictly with continuity?
Yeah, no, my first what if book was what if Wolverine fought Conan or met Conan. I think it was what if number 50, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's in
Yeah,
there.
so there's a couple what if books that I have, and it's really a fun factor. Pretty much a what if this happened. So you can stay with the continuity, or have fun, go wild with it, and that's what I like about the what if series.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, I love the What If series because it does periodically come into continuity,
True.
like the Jane Foster Thor.
Right.
That's a perfect example. The first one I can really think of being brought into continuity out of the What If is what if
Mhm.
Elektra had lived.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so I mean, just kind of a spoiler for anybody out there. If you're looking for what Marvel might dig out next, go back and pick up those what if. Well, and not only that, that what if series is going to start heating up because of the Disney Plus.
That's
You
right.
know,
Yeah.
um, Todd, what's your opinion on these what ifs and whether it's continuity or just any story at all?
Actually, I think if a character appears and like Jane Foster Thor, I mean that what if book is pretty hot right now, from what I understand. Um, I really think that any book, if the fans think that it's popular, if the fans want the book, then it's valuable. Like, I mean, take Hulk 181. How many times have you seen Hulk 180 as the first appearance of Wolverine? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it it shows Wolverine. It's a full page spread of Wolverine, but I mean, it really it comes down to what the fans say, and I think that as a comic book collector, that's one of the things that we need to pay attention to. And maybe that's where like Key Collector is actually a significant benefit to some of us, because, Nick kind of tells us, pay attention to this. Don't miss this, you
Right.
know.
Right, that's really good points, Todd. Um, I'm going to ask you too. When you're out at the comic store looking for new stuff, I get the feeling you're the kind of guy that goes with a plan, or do you just go a little willy nilly? Uh,
That's for me or Todd.
yeah, no, that's for you, man.
Oh,
I know Todd. Todd goes in. He's like, I need one of those, one of those. Hey, I hadn't heard about this one. Give me that. I've
yeah.
seen his videos. He's all over the place. I love that about his collection. But I couldn't do that.
John,
Yeah,
I got
no.
I got the previews book right here on my table, man.
Yeah,
I am like 2 months ahead, bro.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I do that, the previews, but I also go on previewsworld.com, usually like a couple days before release. And, I see what whatever I'm already collecting, I'm like, okay, boom, let's see, Miles Morales, check, check, check. But if there's something like, I'm interested in or that's coming out, then I'll put that down. And I keep it all in my, my Microsoft OneDrive. So it's, synced up. So I just pull out my phone, have my checklist, go into the spot and do what I got to do.
That's awesome, man. Because yeah, that's like you say. I know that some people like to wing it, but other people going in with a. It's been the last 2 years that I have really tried to get a game plan together with my collection, and so for instance, I do like yearly goals. I'll have like 2 or 3 books, yearly goals that are bigger books, and then but I'll always keep in the back of my mind, if I find a smoking deal on something, these are books that are like secondary. Do you have gold books in mind, or do you kind of just look for the smoking deal when it presents itself?
I usually have gold books. So like I told myself I actually wasn't gonna do the entire Absolute Carnage. I was gonna do the main storyline, but then they have all these tie-ins, and I'm like, well, if I'm already collecting Miles Morales and it has a tie-in, well, that's a given. I'm gonna get that. But then they had like Lethal Protector and then the Deadpools and all those, and I said, you know what? I'm a Venom fan. I'm a Symbiote fan, Carnage fan, Spider-Man fan. I said, you know what? Let me check out the other stories, because outside of Donny Cates, what the other writers in these other titles have done, they really interwoven the storylines. So let's say in, I don't know, Absolute Carnage, I'm just going off the top of my head, Absolute Carnage 2, when Miles Morales shows up, I forgot which one, 2 or 3, but you have to find out in his tie-in what happened. You see what I'm saying? And so then they'll say, oh, see such and such issue or whatever. So I think it's crucial to the story. There's some people that just want to do the main storyline, but I want to get the whole thing,
Right on.
because I'm invested in the story. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. The one thing that I've noticed that Marvel has done in the past, and I think that they've pared it down quite a bit for Absolute Carnage, is at one point it felt overwhelming for a lot of collectors to walk in, and you're going to drop $50 on books that are not part of your normal pull, and then trying to keep up with your normal pull. And look, I get it on Marvel's part. Marvel's trying to sell units, man. That's what they're supposed to be doing. Good for them. But on a budget, and I know I'm a budget guy, where if something else comes out, I have to plan it out. So I may have to give up my Flash run and a couple other books to pull all the maximum. Oldness is showing up.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute Carnage.
Yeah.
I have to give up a couple other books to pull all those in, and then go back and try and find the others maybe in dollar bins, whatever, that kind of stuff. You ever just go digging through dollar bins and just go that route, or is it more of a new thing?
When I got back into comic collecting, I want to say maybe 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago. I was just going through, looking at my collection from when I was a kid, and saying, oh, Secret Wars or such and such old issue. Then I would just go and go through the dollar bin, and try to get some stuff that I want to read. And then it just slowly, I guess, transitioned over into the new stuff. But if there's definitely something of a dollar bin that's worth it, I'll definitely go back and try to get it.
Right on.
Yo, Shinwar. So I got a question for you, and I like to ask all of our guests. And to me, you're a celebrity. So
nah, dude, nah. Go ahead.
Hey, right now you're a celebrity. So like, how did you start collecting comics? I mean, can we get your story? I mean,
I'll make it quick. Yeah, no, for sure. When I was a kid, my grandmother used to take me to like a flea market. And they had comic books in there. My uncle, my cousins, my mother, just comics here and there. And this was when I was a kid, like, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. It was all about the X-Men. Everybody was like, yeah, I'm Wolverine, and was collecting all those books. And then, when you get in your teenage years and as you grow up, some hobbies, you're like, I have these comics, I'm not taking it too seriously. And then I would say like 3 years ago, I was like, you know what? I need a hobby. I need a hobby. And I remember my pastime as a kid. And I started just going for books that, Hulk, X-Men, and even stuff like Street Fighter, Ninja Turtles, just start going back into those. But then I wanted to start getting full runs and really take it serious. And when I found the Facebook group, Collectors Corner, I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, oh, wow, like this thing is really serious. And that's pretty much the short version of it. So, yeah.
Right on, man. It does seem that whenever you get into those mid-teen years, a lot of us kind of fall off the wagon.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I full on attribute that. Any of our lady listeners, I'm sorry. For the guys, it's because we started becoming interested in girls, and we didn't think girls were interested in comics.
Yeah.
That's 100% of what it was.
Yeah.
So, and look, I'm 42, almost, not quite. I'm not quite as old as Todd is. Anyway, anyway, I always have to take pot shots at Todd because he's younger than I am.
Let me tell you a little funny story. So because I kind of cut out of comics probably around that teenage years too, and I was a really good bowler. I grew up in Buffalo.
Oh, really?
And I'm Polish, and when you're Polish and you live in Buffalo, bowling is the thing to do. And I used to have to ride the bus, and I'd have to carry my bowling ball onto the bus, and it was a little bit embarrassing. So not only did I have to give up bowling, but I gave up comic books as well. Yeah. And it wasn't until I think it was Rebirth where I started to get excited about comic books again. And I walked into the store for the first time in years, and I remembered that feeling of, wow, I love this day. This is the best day, You walk in, there's books everywhere. They're in and now that I'm older, they're all bagged and boarded. So that's just a little funny story on my part.
But real quick, hey, JR, what brought you back into the comics?
Well, and actually, I'm glad you asked that. A coworker of mine, when I was in my 20s, was the first really renaissance for me. Mm-hmm. I'm working a temp job in a factory, just kind of making ends meet kind of thing, and a bunch of us kind of got together a little bit, and this guy's like, yeah, so we do a little bit of role play D&D stuff. I'm like, I'd never done any of that before, and he's like, we're into comics too. I'm like, oh yeah, I used to do comics as a kid, and that kind of thing. And next thing you know, he's like, check out this new X-Men. Mm-hmm. This is the new X-Men. So I start reading through that, and Zorn, I believe, being Magneto kind of like blew my mind. I'm like, wow, that's really well done. I can't believe. And then there was a couple of Ethan Van Scriber covers that I really dug there, where he did Beast on the cover, and some of those brought me back in. And so then I started kind of like you, I kind of started back in. Well, I ebbed away from it for a little while because we quit the temp job. They moved. Right. We moved, those kind of things. And then kind of like you guys 3-4 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood, I found not the Collector's Corner, but the predecessor to the Collector's Corner. Done deal ever since. And it's funny that you brought up going to flea markets and stuff like that. My very first comic book that I ever picked up that I bought for myself was Spirits of Venom.
Oh,
and
nice.
It was amazing 4-part story that crossed over between Web of Spider-Man and Spirits of Vengeance. Amazing covers, the whole nine.
Yeah.
And 13, 14-year-old me pulling that out was just and I pulled it out of a long box in the flea market, and it was $1, and I'm like, I'll give $1 for this. You see, you see the cover, and it's Venom hanging upside down from the roof
Yep.
of a sewer, and there's bodies strewn in the back, and he has slobber rolling up his face because he's upside down, his tongue hanging out, and he has Ghost Rider's skull on a chain. I'm like, I didn't know who Venom was yet. I'm like, I don't know who this is, but I need to know because that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, like you say, when you said flea markets, it took me back there for a second, man. It's like, dang, it's a small world, and it's neat how everybody kind of has some similar stories of either riding their bike to the corner store to get them, or going to flea markets. It reminds me again how close all of us are. Like, if we lived in the same town, guaranteed we would have been digging in the same long boxes.
For sure.
And so I love that about it. So real quick here, just kind of we'll switch gears up a little bit more. Other than Absolute Carnage, for Marvel anyway, the other book that everybody is loving, and you're a Hulk guy, Immortal Hulk, man. Dear Lord. I will freely admit I am a fringe guy when it comes to the Hulk. Like when he comes and tries to smash Spider-Man, love those stories.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of stuff. Give us your take on Immortal Hulk, man.
Immortal Hulk, I believe it was Avengers, that No Surrender storyline. It was a 12-part issue. Basically, I think it was part 7, Hulk Returned. And then, obviously they started the #1 ongoing issue. I've been enjoying it, man. It's dark. Dr. Fry was in, issue #2 from the TV show, the Bill Bixby TV show. So he's in it. I've been enjoying it, man. Just every step of the way. I mean, Hulk is just doing some dastardly things to people. But it's a callback to, I can't think of his name, Greg Pak's run on the Hulk, which really got me back into the Hulk series. Love Greg Pak's run. But, everything with Red Harpy, Betty Ross. And then you got the General 14, I believe. Whatever. He's the new Abomination. So, yeah, I've been enjoying it. And, by the way, did you see the new cover that Alex Ross released for Immortal Hulk #28?
The one with the kids wearing the mask and
my God.
that Hulk smash.
Yeah, that looks amazing.
It was sick, right? Yeah.
Honestly, and it's crazy that I didn't start on Immortal Hulk on issue #1. I'm a huge Alex Ross Hulk.
Like I told you.
Yeah. No. Yes. No. Hey, Todd told me. I will tell you that Tim Rines told me. Like, everybody's like, right after issue #1, they're like, you have to go get this. Go get this now. Do it now. And I'm like, it'll be okay. I'll find it. Again, I'm a budget guy, and I love digging dollar bins. Love it. That's something about digging dollar bins that I just love. And part of the hunt, I guess.
That's true. Very true.
And so I thought, in the back of my mind, as God's my witness, I thought, I'll find these in dollar bins sooner or later. I'll pick it up. It'll be great reading, and I'll get it. You ain't finding none of that in dollar bins. No way. Not a single issue, man. So I kind of missed them. But the reason, my logic behind that is as great as Alex Ross covers are, you can find a lot of his stuff in dollar bins, like his JSA stuff, his JLA stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, for as good as he is, totally underappreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think what makes Immortal Hulk even better is the fact that Alex Ross is doing the covers.
Mhm.
And I mean, literally, like every cover that you can pick up without, you know, having to hunt it down, it is just a masterpiece. And
Yeah.
then Al Ewing's storytelling, it's weird. It's crazy. I remember seeing one of Ursel's videos, and I think Ursel, you even were like, "This is kind of weird," but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but it's fun. You know, it was fun weird, and you know, like I said, Alex Ross doing the covers just adds to the whole excitement of it. And then of course, you know, there's variant covers like that. I don't think Alex Ross did the split head one, but
No.
that one
Mm-mm.
was phenomenal. I mean, you know, I didn't end up picking up that one, but man, that was a beauty.
Well, you know what? On a side note, I saw Darren Hutchison of Unknown Comics. He had commented under the post that I put up with the number 28 cover. And what's funny is somebody mentioned about a virgin variant of it. And he basically said, like, it's pretty much impossible for Alex Ross covers outside of him putting it on his website that there'll never be a chance. Marvel won't allow it for Alex covers to be virgin variants. So I don't know how true that is, but you
That's
know,
weird.
yeah,
You would think that'd be like printing money,
right,
honestly.
exactly,
Make
exactly.
it a con variant that's super limited. Like, look, we're all plugged in. We know the Spawn 300 variant
Yeah,
that went crazy, super high. Um, and you, like I say, you'd think that'd be like Marvel printing money. Not that they're not already printing money. Let's be real,
right.
but you would think that an Alex Ross Virgin variant would be so out of this world that, especially like that on that 28.
Yeah, but you know what's funny though? This past San Diego Comic Con, there was a Virgin variant, two of them, but it was sold exclusively on Alex Ross's website. So I understand he wants control over it, which I get. I get it.
Oh, I don't blame him. I don't blame him
Yeah.
at all. He's one of the guys, one of the artist channels that I follow on YouTube.
Yeah.
And if you're not following him on YouTube, he he has a very professional presentation on his videos, and man, they are just, you can tell the level that he puts into all of them is next world, man. It's
Yeah.
next world. Like you, what do you? How do you compete with that if you're another comic book cover artist?
Right.
I don't know that you can, you know, because he just,
He's kind of like the Bob Ross, you know, with the crazy hair. I mean, Alex Ross, Bob Ross. I mean, maybe they're related somehow. I don't know. Yeah,
you heard it here first, everyone. Bob Ross, Alex Ross, they're
I was about to say that. Yeah.
cousins.
They're
exactly.
brothers.
There you go. There you go. So
but no, go ahead, JR. I'm sorry.
no, I was going to ask you something, but let's stay on this. I was going to go a little different direction, but go right ahead.
Well, no. You mentioned, the variant cover artist. I pose a question to the group here. With the rise of all the variant covers and all these new artists, you have your Art Germs, your Inuklees, Ji-Young Lee, Shannon Mayer,
Mayor,
Mayer,
yeah.
yeah, Mayer. Who are some of your favorites?
Oh
Who are
yeah,
you liking right now?
dude, you're reading my mind. God is my witness. You're reading my mind. I was going to ask you who some of your favorite variant artists are.
Nice.
I will give you guys. Oh man, I'm gonna butcher. I don't want to butcher his first name. His last name is March, and he does variant cut. He's done a couple of really killer variant covers. Now you got to remember, I'm a Power Girl guy too.
Hmm.
He did 1 in 10 variants for the Power Girl run, um, and those are extremely hard to find. And when you do, like 99% of that Power Girl run, unless if it's Adam Hughes, of course those go higher. And then number 27, and I can't remember who the artist is on it, or number 30. I'm sorry, guys. My mind's blanking. I'm having a senior moment here. But they're at the very end of the run, super low print, white cover, and it's Power Girl kind of just coming towards the viewer from the lower corner, and that's like a $30 or $40 book too. But you go try and find those 1 in 10 variants. I'm telling you right now, $50 to $100.
Yeah.
And those are ungraded. Anyway, he's one, and Robert Casey is one of the guys who turned me on to him as an artist. And I share some of his stuff to the Collector's Corner occasionally. The last thing that I saw him working on was a Vampirella. And so he's not exclusive to DC or Marvel or any of that. Whoever's wants one, he gives it to them. He's one of them that is at the top of my list for cover artists that seems a little unknown. Todd, you got any cover artists that we need to know about?
Well, Mark Brooks. I think Mark Brooks does some fantastic covers. I really like his coloring. The coloring on his books is always just, unique colors. In Hayek Lee, I believe, is another one of the guys that does some covers that I like. Of course, Art Germ. I'd like to see Art Germ go a little bit outside the box. I do enjoy his covers. One of the things, when you look back at some of the old covers, they have a lot of action, and they have, like Flash's racing Spider or Flash's racing Superman, and Batman's in the background saying "kick his ass." I miss those types of covers. I think sometimes we get too much profile in covers. I'd like to see a little bit more action. And it would be interesting to see, and Art Germ do that. Derek Chu has done some amazing covers. I mean, he did that Harley Quinn on a motorcycle that was amazing. I mean, some of these covers you just want to put into a frame and post on your wall. I mean, they're just beautiful. I mean, who are some of your guys?
Oh no, you mentioned them, like Art Germ. You know what's funny about Art Germ? When he does his sketches, like, we see the stuff on the covers on the comic books, and a lot of stuff is digital art, which is fine. And, but there's a market for, old school sketching, outside of, everything being done on the computer. But when you look at his sketches, like that, he's the real deal. It's not just digital. And you mentioned Derek Chu. And I think with Mark Brooks, consistent. Oh my gosh, the art is just consistent. He knocks it out. Who else? Clayton Crane. Crane, consistency as well. But I don't know, his artistry is just, it's on another level. Like, he makes it look easy. In my opinion, he makes it look easy. And I was just like, wow. I watched on YouTube, what's his name? Ji-Young Lee? Yeah, from Korea. Phenomenal. And, it may seem like these guys are coming out of the woodworks lately, but they've been around. Like Shannon Mayer, these guys have been around, but they're just getting noticed now. So, but yeah, I would say at the top for me right now, top 3, Clayton, Art Germ, that third slot.
You got to go with Art Ross on these Immortal Hulks. Come on.
But see, Ross is in a different class. Like, I'll never put like Jim Lee. They're in legend status, like different class.
Agreed.
You know, or Todd McFarlane, different class, upper echelon. I'll say that they're in the upper echelon.
Right.
But yeah, I would say Art Germ, Crane. I have to get back to you on the third one.
Have you ever met Clint Crane?
Yeah, you know, I met him Boston Fan Expo last year. Really cool guy. He was hosted by Scorpion Comics, and he did a remark for me. And super cool guy, super knowledgeable. And yeah, these guys have fun with it, and that's what, you know, we as comic book fans, that's what we want to see. We don't want to see the writer or the artist be a jerk. You know, we want to see these guys have fun as we have fun as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, and you know, bringing up some of these old school covers, that reminds me, Adam Kubert is the guy who did that Venom that kind of spoke to me as that 13, 14-year-old kid. He's still at the top of my list because he's still doing stuff. And I mean, there's tons of talent in that whole family.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah.
Joe, Adam, and Andy, all three kill it.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, they got enough talent to spread around if they would, but they, you know, what can you? I don't know that there's anything else to say about those guys.
Right.
They're not quite legendary status like Todd McFarlane would be, but they're prolific.
Right.
And you know, they do striking covers. I do think that the colorists don't get enough, you know, they don't get enough credit for. Okay, I'm gonna throw this out there. I had a commission done by Frank Uzon. Beautiful commission done by him of Power Girl and Venom in the Alex Ross Joker Harley Quinn pose from Harley, you know, and he killed it. He killed it. He inked it, penciled it, and inked it. And then I had him send it to a friend of mine in the UK to color it. And as much as I love the lines, once it got colored, man, it was all over. Like just it did it. The colorist helped so much. And again, I'm not taking anything away from Frank. There's no way, but I like Todd was saying, the colors and stuff. Sometimes I think that those guys go a little underappreciated.
Yeah. Good point. Very good point.
You know, so I went to a Comic-Con and I wrote a comic book, and so I was sitting at a table, and the artist that that did the comic book was there, and he had all these great books, and he was selling them like crazy, and he pulls out this first appearance of Amadeus Cho, right? And I bought that book for like $15, probably like 2 years ago, and he's got it in this pile, and I come to find out that an ungraded version of this Amadeus Cho book is selling now for $200.
Oh wow!
And it blew my mind because I got mine graded and it's a 9.8. So I was like, I was in heaven. I won, I guess, before that. But you know, Amadeus Cho, he's a new character and his value is going up. And there's other new characters, Miles Morales, right? I mean, I honestly, I became a fan with Miles Morales when I played the Spider-Man video game, and I got to play with Miles Morales, and I really, really liked his character. I really liked the personality. You know, who do you see going forward as some of these new characters that, you know, maybe we should look back and look at their first appearances, or, you know, pay attention to?
Some of the new, well, you know, what is that? Straight out of the War of the Realms storyline, I can't think of the group. Agents of Atlas. They've been on a roll with these new characters like Wave, Arrow. Amadeus Cho was in there as Brawn. And then they just had a new character in issue number 3, and I can't think of the name, but like Ironheart. I just found out Ironheart is going to be canceled at issue number 12 in November, so she's pretty much done for now. I don't know if they're gonna reboot it. But yeah, Miles Morales is dope. Who else? I mean, X-23. She's like on a hiatus right now. She hasn't been like in the forefront. Um, that's it for me. I don't know any other characters off the top of my head right now.
So John and I, we were talking. I like Miles Morales. I mean,
Yeah.
Do you think that the Spider-Man Miles Morales being Spider-Man, is that the perfect character for him? Or should they develop him more? Should he continue with the Spider-Man? I know the one thing that I've heard about Miles Morales is he needs his rogues gallery. And the cool thing, and this is one of the things that I've learned from your videos, from watching them, is they're starting to develop this rogues gallery.
Right. Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on Miles Morales?
I don't know what got me into issue number 1. I think I was like, oh, it's a new issue number 1. That's how Marvel does. Let's reboot it. Let's start at issue number 1. And so I picked it up, and I was like, yo, this is really cool. He's in Brooklyn, watching over Brooklyn. But his rogues gallery is, like you said, it's really starting to take shape and expand. And the last issue, actually 2 issues ago, he took a beating, really took a beating. And I was just like, wow, okay, this kid is going through the grinder. This is what makes the hero. He survived, and, his father and his uncle, they broke him out. But yeah, I'm enjoying the run, seriously. And I hope it doesn't stop anytime soon. And I think with going back to Absolute Carnage, with his 3-issue tie-in, it's only going to continue to boost Miles Morales,
I agree. And I know early on, and they do this with a lot of characters whenever they bring them on, they will either face other people's rogues galleries and see if some of those secondary rogues for Spider-Man or for the Fantastic Four will develop into something. I mean, let's be real here. It goes all the way back to somebody like Daredevil. Kingpin was originally a Spider-Man rogue villain, but now almost everybody identifies Kingpin directly with Daredevil. So I think that they're going about it the right way with Miles Morales. The one thing that I would say as an old school Spider-Man fan, I would like it if they gave him more of his own identity. Maybe not calling him Spider-Man. Do you know what I mean? I think we're already down that rabbit hole too far to change it, but it wouldn't have hurt my feelings if they had went a different direction with, he has more powers than Peter Parker does.
Yeah.
He's anybody who reads the books knows he's not a ripoff of Spider-Man. He's just
very true.
He is his own character. I don't know what I mean. Obviously, if somebody in the comments wants to leave a couple of names that they think that Miles Morales might go by in the future at some point, I'd love to hear them, but I don't know of any.
Well, what's funny? In the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon animated series that ended a couple of years ago, they had his name changed to Kid Arachnid in that show, and it didn't translate over into the comics, but that's what they had called him. Because it's like you have 2 Spider-Men, and if I say, "Hey, Spider-Man," they're both gonna answer.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And you're not. I know a lot of times when they're talking to each other, they're not calling each other Spider-Man. They're calling him Peter or Miles, know, but yeah, I like the idea of differentiating them slightly.
I agree.
In the same way that Tony Stark in War Machine, and Rhodey, the way that they differentiated and went Iron Man and War Machine, something in that vein. I think to me that's the perfect way to add a character and give them that superpower. Start them off, and again, I'm an old school guy, so I go back to like Secret Wars. And for the uninitiated, for the newer collectors, they may not even realize that the original Secret Wars, where Spider-Man got his symbiote, it was Rhodey in that Iron Man suit. And that was to me, that was one of the more interesting things about it, was Rhodey being really self-conscious about the fact that he wasn't the guy that all these heroes thought he was.
Right.
He really struggled with feeling like he was going to be a pretender. And, you know, I don't know, something about that part of that story really resonated with me. And it was not a huge part of the story, but I think it was an intricate part of that story to have him that way. I don't know. Like I say, that's kind of my tangent on it with bringing in new characters. I think the way they did War Machine was nearly perfect. You know, let him have the mantle for a little bit, but then let him come out from under it and I'm my own man. I'm War Machine. You know, that kind of thing.
You know what's funny? That's just like the Batman family. You know, you have Batman, then Dick, Tim, Jason. Well, you know, Jason Todd really separated. You know what I mean? From
Really
being a
separated.
Robin. Yeah, really separated. And then you have who's it? Damien. You know.
Yeah.
So no, I agree with you. They you know, if you have them come in under that mantle, that's cool. You know, for a little short time. But like you said, really have them be distinguished from the main character. I agree.
Right on.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Todd.
So Rochelle, you're a movie guy too, and I love when you usually go see the movies right away, and you give your opinion, and I respect your opinions. They're great. I mean, what do you think about this Marvel Phase 5? Like, let me just be honest. Like, so.
But Phase 5 or Phase 4?
Is this Phase 4 is what's coming next?
Yeah, Phase 4 is coming in. I was like, you jumped ahead.
Okay, so like, you know, that they're doing a Black Widow movie, and to me that almost feels like Solo in the Star Wars universe, right? I mean, it doesn't add anything to the future. It's just, I mean, I understand. I like Black Widow and I love Scarlett Johansson. I mean, I could watch Scarlett Johansson on the movie screen, but you know, I'm looking at that and I'm like, you're too late, you know. And then I look forward to the Winter Soldier and Falcon, Captain America. But I mean, how do you feel? Like, I'm sure you probably seen what the lineup was.
Yeah.
Do you see like the cool thing about the Marvel universe when the movie universe was it was building to this Infinity Gauntlet thing, and now it doesn't feel like we're building to that. I don't know what we're building to at this point. It's probably we're building to Disney being able to show TV shows, basically.
Right.
But I mean, what are your thoughts on all of that? Because I know you're a big movie fan as well.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, 2008 Iron Man started the journey, and you know, we ended it this year with Endgame, and that's the key word, Endgame. That was 10 years pretty much of, you know, all these stories interwoven, and now they're done. So if it really feels like if they did not want to continue or do another movie, we could be fine with that because of the way Endgame ended. So now it's almost like Kevin Feige's like, okay, we're done with that. Let's hit the reset button. Now we start all over again. I agree with you. Black Widow is definitely too late. I don't know if it was, well, where do we put the story, or we don't know if Scarlett Johansson can carry her own movie, which she has done plenty of times. There's like 2 other movies that I can think of where she starred. But I think with Black Widow and just finding out that Robert Downey Jr. will be reprising his role as Iron Man in that. Obviously, we know it's a prequel, to her. Obviously she died in Endgame. I think there's going to be some tidbits. At the same time, this probably could have been a Disney Plus show. That's just my opinion. But Scarlett Johansson, now that the other movies have elevated her, she can carry it. I hope Hawkeye's in it. I'm pretty sure he probably is. And they always tease Budapest, but that's just the first part of my answer. Going back to what you said about the other films, it's really a reset button. They teased the Mandarin and the Tin Rings. So, before we had the fake Mandarin. So now we have the real Mandarin coming in with Shang-Chi. What else do we have? The Eternals are coming. So it's a lot of comic fans, the hardcore comic fans know these characters, but the masses may not know the characters that are coming out. So I think it's good for that. And we're really going to be starting back to Iron Man 2008 with these characters. That's just my opinion. I think we're hitting the reset button.
I think you're right on the money there, that it's kind of like it's hitting the reset button. And I think, too, that people, they kind of are trying to make Spider-Man Far From Home be that. In their mind, they think the ending was Endgame, and it was, but Spider-Man Far From Home is an epilogue.
Right, correct.
You know what I mean? It really is. And so I think people are trying to shoehorn that into the next phase, and that's not the next phase. The next phase is really yet to be fully realized. But like you said, I don't think it would have hurt that to be a Disney Plus show, because they've already said, as opposed to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and some of these other shows that might reference the movies, the Disney Plus series are going to directly have impact on the MCU.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, I mean, with that I feel like, and Disney does not need me to plug their Disney Plus. Dude, they couldn't care whether I've got an opinion for them or not. But honestly, at the price point that mine, I think it's going to be like $5 or something like that.
Yeah.
It feels like a no-brainer to hop on that. And so you bringing that up as a Disney Plus show, I love that idea. But since it's going to be a movie, I don't know. It feels like you said, it's a prequel, and they'll probably hint at things that are coming down the road.
Right.
I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around it. I know that Captain Marvel did that somewhat, but I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. To me, Captain Marvel was not a very memorable movie.
It was just a setup. That was a setup film, just to get her there. Yeah.
Right. And so probably, I mean, it's not going to make its way to Netflix, but I'm sure it'll be on Disney Plus probably for their streaming service. I'll rewatch it under the context of what I know from Endgame and see how I feel then. But like you say, at this point, it didn't feel like a very memorable movie.
Right.
It does worry me that if they do it the same way, that this Black Widow movie may not be as memorable of a movie. Like with Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp and some of that. So the comedic value in it, for one, was I was a fan of those.
Yeah.
Now you dabble in some DC stuff, or you're primarily just Marvel.
No, there's quite a few DC books that I'm reading.
Right on. I know that I'm just, what I was getting ready to reference was the DC movies.
Right.
I think that they suffer from taking themselves too seriously.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
And between that, and I think that they're a little monotone. to me, Superman should not be dark and brooding. That's Batman's shtick. Let him have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The big blue Boy Scout. That's
Yeah.
Superman. You
Yeah.
know, be true to that character. Now, if he has moments in the movie where he's doubting himself or a little dark, okay. But Superman movie, by and large, should be a positive, rah-rah kind of movie.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about Flash. I know that movie has kind of been in a little bit of turmoil
Oh yeah.
as to whether that's even going to still be made or not. But I feel like DC, I think, aren't they basically hitting the reset as well, trying to go a different direction now?
Yeah, I think with the success of Aquaman and even Shazam as well, they decided not to have a connected shared world as much. So it's pretty much going to be standalone movies. Hey, we may reference things from other movies, but it won't have an impact on the story, on the current story. So that's what, if I read that right, that's what I believe it is. And which is fine. If, if that works for them, that works for them.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and look, you can have them go off on their own adventures that, like you say, are, if they're connected at all, make it so very loosely that they're just mentioning Kal-El in this movie or mentioning Bruce Wayne in this movie to let people know that, yes, it's still DC Universe, but no need for an in-trailer scene that ties it into the next Justice League movie or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, see, I don't think the Justice League is probably as important as the Avengers. I mean, I think DC's probably better doing solo movies, especially because of the fact that Batman gets rebooted like every like 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably just go with the singular type stuff. I do have a question for you. So, and hopefully, this doesn't piss you off. So, like, Black. So when Black Panther appeared in Civil War,
mm-hmm.
he was epic. I mean, that was one of the epic moments of that movie. And so, like, I seen so I watched Black Panther the movie, and I really, really dug the female characters. I thought they were amazing, but I was a little disappointed with the power level of Black Panther. And I know it was an origin story, but I would have liked to see Black Panther kicking ass a little bit more. It almost seemed like they kind of dumbed down the male characters a little bit in that movie. And I'm just kidding. I know it was a big film, and it was very successful, and I enjoyed it. But I'm just curious what your thoughts are on, like, was Black Panther as strong as you would have liked to see him?
I enjoyed Black Panther. I really had my only gripe with it was the end with the CGI with him and what's his name, Killmonger. Well, okay, actually two gripes. I didn't like Killmonger having that Jaguar suit. I didn't like that because once again we're going back to the whole carbon copy villain who has the same exact abilities as the hero. I hate that. Just my opinion. Some heroes it works, some it doesn't, because like Ant-Man, like what was the villain? Yellow Jacket. Pretty much the same abilities as Ant-Man. Like, okay, let's stop it right there. But going back, with Black Panther, the CGI at the end when they were like by the rails and by the trains, it was bad. It was bad. But overall, what Black Panther did for me was establish obviously Wakanda and the bigger world of the MCU. It was referenced in Age of Ultron by Bruce Banner and some other characters. They talked about Wakanda, so that everybody's like, when are we going to go to Wakanda? When are we going to go to Wakanda? So we got that, and it really set up what's the character's name? We got introduced to Shuri. and his royal guard. So they played a position. Another gripe I had was Claw. I didn't like that they killed Claw. I didn't like that. He's a
That
major
was
Panther villain.
right. Well, that was one of my biggest gripes was a villain that could be one of those guys that just kind of he helped set up the big bad in
Yeah.
every not every one, but it's good to have minor villains running around still.
Yeah.
And he complimented, and you just kind of one of those guys. It felt like you loved to hate him, like you're like, I like to hate him enough. I kind of hope he survives so that I see him again, kind of.
Yeah.
But just so he gets his butt kicked again, not so that anything good happens to him, but just so he's just slimy enough that I want to see him beat up a lot, but not necessarily die. He's not the level of dying bad guy, that kind of thing. He's more of the just beat him senseless, send him to jail. He breaks out of jail again, unfortunately, he's not going to be one that the snap would undo his death.
Right. And I think also Black Panther was a setup for Infinity War because they had the big battle in Wakanda. So that was also a setup film as well.
Oh, yeah. The Infinity War Wakanda battle was epic. I mean, that's true. That's a really good point. I mean, that fight was probably one of the best parts of that movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know what's funny? And I don't mean to cut you off, Todd.
No, go ahead, man.
With Infinity War, I actually had two gripes with that film. One, so remember when Bruce Banner was in the Hulkbuster armor?
Oh God, yeah. I
he was supposed to Hulk out. He was supposed to Hulk out of there.
Yeah,
right.
And I remember there was I think it was a Lego toy or one of those toys that spoiled it. And that scene got cut. And another scene, the CGI towards the end, when the Hulkbuster helmet rolls back and you see Bruce Banner's head, that CGI was terrible.
I agree.
And
the proportions weren't right.
Yeah, exactly. And with War Machine, when they were looking for, when everybody started getting turned into dust, and he was like, I think he was looking for Falcon. He's like, Falcon, where are you? Where are you? And it was just, the CGI was just looking terrible right there.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing is let's be real here, for those to be the only kind of gripes of that movie, it does speak to how good the movie was overall. But it also points out that even Marvel, we might rail on DC movies, but Marvel is not faultless. They're just not.
John, you're talking to two Hulk fans here because I'm a Hulk fan too, and yeah, I think that was probably one of my biggest disappointments in that whole movie was just not to get to see the Hulk, smashing and fighting, and so I'm kind of I kind of struggle with this current Hulk. I can't remember what that dude's name is.
Mark Ruffalo.
Ruffalo. Like I like him, but at the same time, I mean, the way that they portrayed the Hulk was just really disappointing. Even in Endgame, I mean, I was just like,
oh yeah,
really?
And there was no redemption. Well, I think how they had to dumb down or tone down the Hulk was obviously when he did the snap to bring everybody back. They had to gimp him pretty much, and that was the way to gimp him.
Right.
So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, well, I kind of feel that they had to do that in order to make it more believable that Thanos could hold the primary people that were fighting him hand to hand, that Thanos could actually hold them off.
Yeah.
Now, but I will say that I agree with you guys. I think that the Hulk arc throughout the Avengers movies it felt like there was a bit of a letdown there. Like personally to me, I would have loved to have seen him buried under all the rubble, basically doing
Secret Wars.
the Secret Wars, holding up the entire base.
Yeah. Yeah.
While Captain America and Thor and Iron Man are getting their butts handed to them.
Yeah.
Well before Captain Marvel shows up. And then after all three of them are laying on the ground, Thanos is about to claim victory. Hulk's out, goes World Buster Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, World Breaker, isn't it?
Yeah.
World Breaker Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And give a real hand-to-hand combat. Of course, Thanos wins still, and that's when you get Cap with Thor's hammer.
Yeah.
I think what ended up making that a moot point or something that they didn't even consider doing was the 3-hour runtime that it already had, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I agree with you, and that's me not even being a real serious Hulk fan. I felt to myself, I'm like, man, Hulk didn't get any real redemption here.
Yeah.
Yes, he did the snap. Yes. But it felt the second snap felt, or I'm sorry, the Hulk snap felt anticlimactic.
Well, I remember reading what the director said, Joe and Anthony Russo. They said it was purposefully done to make him the smart Hulk, because the dumb Hulk would not have been smart enough to think about the people he needed to have come back doing the snap. So that was one of the reasons they made him the Professor Hulk. But I think he needed more redemption.
I'm
in
with
Endgame.
you.
In Endgame, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Now, there again, he's still around, so they could go in Phase 4 and help him out some. Is it? Do I remember this correctly? That there are rumors that they're going to try and do a Hulk movie, like an actual standalone Hulk movie, or is that something that's on clickbait sites?
I'm pretty sure clickbait, what is that? WeGotThisCovered.com. I refuse to go to that site, but She-Hulk TV series.
I'm looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to that. Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to that now, and I know that people are speculating on or giving opinions on who they want to be the lead. I honestly have no idea, but I know that when I see the right person, I'll be like, yep, that's it.
Yeah.
And Marvel's really been amazing at their casting. Yeah. Either of you guys, Shinwar, I'll ask you first. Mm-hmm. Who do you have any opinions on who should be She-Hulk?
I can tell you who should not be She-Hulk.
Well, yeah, it should not be Ronda Rousey, okay?
Let's
get that out of the way first.
Yes. No Ronda Rousey.
Look, I will tell you, I was a fan of hers because she came to a local MMA fight to support some of the people that she trained with.
Yeah.
Way, she was still with Strikeforce at the time. And she was very personable lady as far as she stood there for half the event and took pictures with people between rounds. She was hey, when the fights are going on, but her acting chops are not there. I mean, and I will say this too. She actually has something that is a condition that makes it where when she is nervous, it's not a stutter, but her words don't come out right, and it's an actual medical condition. That's one of the reasons why in WWE,
really?
Yeah, that's why one of the reasons in WWE, a lot of her promos that were worked for her kind of felt weird, and why they eventually started just giving her really short promos because it didn't give the nerves time to kick in, and she just gave a really quick, I'm going to beat your rear end kind of promo, and let's get going.
Yeah.
But that's something that I found out after she was already in WWE. I did not know that myself.
Well, interesting. I would say, honestly, for She-Hulk, I think it should be a no-name. I think it should be a no-name actress.
I'm a fan. I'm a
That's
fan
my
of those
opinion.
people. I'm a fan of those people because you then identify. Okay, one of my big gripes, and we're just go. I feel like we're going all over the place, but I'm giving an example here is Nick Cage as Ghost Rider. Nick Cage's Ghost Rider was Nick
Yeah.
Cage.
I
You
love
could
it. I love
Right,
it. I'm sorry.
right.
Oh, I'm not saying I didn't. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm just saying I couldn't not see Nick Cage there. How do you not? How do you not
Yeah,
see Nick
I
Cage?
get it.
So I'm 100% with you there. That you go with a no name so that you can look at that person later and say that's She-Hulk. That person is the embodiment of She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Todd, who do you got anybody in mind?
You know, I mean, honestly, if it's just the I don't know the what's She-Hulk's name when she's not She-Hulk?
Jennifer Walters.
There you go.
Jennifer Walters. So I mean, pretty much anybody can play Jennifer Walters. So I mean, I don't really care. You know, like. I mean, you guys are talking about this, and I'm thinking about Natalie Portman playing Thor, and I'm thinking like, okay, like holy, what is this gonna be? And I'm sorry, I watched some videos about Thor: Love and Thunder, and you know, they're critical videos, of course, but you know. I mean, I guess if Natalie Portman can play Jane Foster, then I mean anybody can play Jennifer Walters, and you know, to be honest, like so, you know, we do talk about diversity in this whole universe and everything, right? And like with Samuel L. Jackson, I mean that was an awesome casting. I mean, I love that. I don't care what the race was before that, but I mean, if you could have cast Samuel L. Jackson in that part, yo, I'm cool with that. And I've enjoyed.
But you know what's funny? Todd? Mark Miller, that's who he had in mind when he drew him in the Ultimate Universe. Was Sam Jackson.
I read something about that, but like I mean I think with a She-Hulk, I mean this is another perfect opportunity that let's bring on a somebody different. It doesn't have to be a white lady, right?
But I think in the case of the storyline, and you know, in regards to the comics, that's Bruce Banner's cousin. You know, so I mean, I don't know what route they're gonna go with.
Yeah.
You know, with that.
It does depend on how close to canon they want to stay, and my opinion, I'm gonna restate it here again. I look, and I know that somebody said that the movie universe was the 616 universe. It's not. It's the MCU. It's just not. They're two different mediums. I look at movies and TV shows as what ifs, and I look at or else worlds because they don't always directly translate from one medium to the other.
Right.
You can't. You're talking about a monthly comic book as opposed to a hour and a half to 2 hour normally movie. You got to make sacrifices there. I would be okay if they cast someone. It wouldn't bother me at all to go with a different race for her at all. It just wouldn't. But I understand what you're saying. She's Bruce Banner's cousin, and if they stick with the comics, the way she becomes She-Hulk is they're a blood match because they're related, and he gives her a blood transfusion, and their DNA reacts the same way. So you know, if they're trying to stay canon, they don't really have that option. I don't believe.
Well, you know, go ahead.
Oh no, I just feel like that's gonna be the way if they stay canon to the comics with her origin story, with the blood transfusion. I guarantee you that'll be their way of transforming Professor Hulk back into Bruce Banner through that blood transfusion. I just feel like that's going to be the way.
I would be down with that. And just like that, I love it when story makes sense. Like, I don't want it to be predictable, but I wanted to jive. I wanted, whenever I read it, I don't look, we're talking about superpowers and funny books and stuff like that, but I want there to be some logic behind it.
Right.
So like you say, blood transfusion, somewhere in the blood transfusion, Banner and Hulk separate and go back to status quo Hulk.
Right.
I'm good with that.
Exactly.
That gets 2 thumbs up for me, because it gives a reason, and it might be a little far-fetched, but it doesn't have to be terribly far-fetched.
Yeah.
So Todd, what were you going to say, man?
I think that She-Hulk would be a good opportunity to incorporate more diversity into this universe. That's really, because she's not that major of a character where people would be, of course there's going to be idiots that are offended by it, right? Oh my God, but I do think that it would be a good opportunity to bring in somebody different and make this character somebody different.
Yeah. I will say the Eternals, that's a very diverse cast, and I was shocked at the people that got those roles, and I'm like, you know what, this has potential. The Eternals, definitely, I'm looking forward to that one.
And that I will admit, we've talked about this before, that comic books in general, it's impossible for everybody to know everything about everything. It's too broad of a subject. It as a medium is too diverse.
Yeah.
But I will, even though I consider myself primarily a Marvel guy, I know virtually nothing about the Eternals. I know virtually nothing about them.
Yeah.
Do either of you guys know like a lot about them, or are you guys kind of just starting to develop some fandom for them?
Really just starting. And I think that's what's good about the movies is to say, hey, you didn't know anything about these characters? Well, here you go. Yeah.
I think that's one of the best things about Guardians of the Galaxy. And that's another thing too, that anytime somebody like really wants to poo-poo an idea on a movie where they're like, I can't believe they're doing XYZ movie, I always take them back to Guardians of the Galaxy. When Guardians of the Galaxy was announced, everybody was like, why? We couldn't really wrap our minds around it because we didn't see the end game coming. Pun slightly intended there. We didn't see what was coming down the pipes.
Yeah.
So the Guardians of the Galaxy kind of had to take the place of the Fantastic Four as far as pulling people out into the cosmos and becoming that out of world kind of, and then being able to make Thanos more believable and those kind of things. So yeah, I'm for that. I actually, and we don't shy away from talking spec here either, I was really hoping that something about the Micronauts would show up whenever they were in Ant-Man and in Endgame, that because they talked about it being just a whole different reality, really. I thought to myself, maybe they'll say something about, maybe I think it's Janet Van Dyne would say something about how she survived for so long.
Yeah.
And didn't. And so, you kind of just shrug your shoulders, and maybe in a future one, but you never know.
Yeah.
That was a book that I slightly spec'd on. I picked up 2 or 3 copies in dollar bins and just kind of, they're still here. I've only got $3 in them, so I'm not hurting. If they never go anywhere, I'm not hurting at all. But on the flip side, if they show up and have their own movie, I'm ready. I'm trying to think here. Are there any ones that you might consider specking on that are not just like the Eternals or anyone that's been already announced? Any spec books that you got your eye on?
I was actually thinking about Taskmaster because he's going to be in Black Widow. But I have the Avengers book. Blade. I have Blade. Off the top of my head, maybe Shang-Chi. Maybe. Maybe. And Mandarin.
Yeah, that's a good one. I agree. I honestly think right now is the time to start looking for like things like first appearance Thanos and stuff. I think that market is starting to soften a little bit.
Yeah.
It'll never be down to pre-movie levels,
right.
But I think the market is softening on them a little bit. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to begin to tell anybody a price on where to start buying them, but I think it will continue to soften a little bit as they do progress into Phase 4. Todd, you're a spec guru for New Comic Book Day, man. You got anything in mind?
Well, with the Falcon and Winter Soldier show coming out, I would say like Falcon as Captain America is probably a fairly reasonably priced book, and you could pick that up probably for an affordable price. I would say that would be one. Winter Soldier is probably a reasonably priced book still. I would pick that one up. We were talking about She-Hulk. You could probably get first appearance She-Hulk for under $100.
Well, you know what's funny? I saw a 9.8 going for 500 some change.
That's what I was going to say. You double check on that She-Hulk because I'll tell you right now, Raws are in that 100 to 120 range right now. And it's funny because I've picked up 2 collections and I sold one of them way with the She-Hulk #1. I sold it way long ago. I sat on the second She-Hulk that I have now that's a newsstand. Man, am I glad I sat on that because honestly, that She-Hulk, if it continues to go up, it'll basically pay for the entire collection that I bought. So that's 2 thumbs up there for that. But there again, I'm one of those guys who I go out and grind, and I know Todd's probably sick of hearing it. I feel like I'm super lucky for the job I have that I can go out and I can look in all of the flea markets around the area and stuff like that. Yes, that's right, Todd. That's right. Todd hates dollar bins. I don't know if you know that about him. He hates dollar bins.
I didn't know that.
I think her cell's probably this very similar to me. I don't see her cell digging through dollar bins. I think I see her
time to time.
I see her cell more looking at the wall books and saying, I need that one right there.
I would say wall first and then dollar bin.
So we're running late on time here. And I do have a question for you because you're a new comic book collector. I'm a new comic book collector. And I hear a lot of times that, people say, oh, you're going to find these in the dollar bin. And, so you go, you buy, you spend $40 on books. And then, you hear that and you're looking at them and you're thinking, could I have just waited a year and I could get this in the dollar bin? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean,
it's almost like a speculation, pretty much. It's like, I'll find this, like you said, next year in the dollar bin. Who knows? Nobody can tell the future. There are people that speculate, and some have been right, some have been wrong. I don't have a problem with waiting, But I'm like, okay, if I see the book, and if it's in my range, in my budget range, and if I want to get it, most likely I'll pick it up, right then and there. But yeah, no, if somebody wants to say, you know what, I'll wait, a year to be in a dollar bin, go for it. If you want to get the book right then and there and don't want to wait, go for it. So yeah.
And I know I've said that to Todd a couple of times, just waiting to be in the dollar bin. But
Yeah.
I've already confessed that I thought that about, and I've been wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's a total gamble. It's a total gamble. Whether or not you're willing to wait on the key or not.
Right.
But I also worry about folks with the fear of missing out.
Right.
A book that was smoking hot the day of and the week of it coming out, Walking Dead 192.
Yep.
If you found that for cover price and you could get more than one copy, I saw sold listings on eBay at $100 for a raw book.
Wow.
And that's, to me, that's 100% fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
I told folks on Facebook at the time, this is going to be a higher print run than everything else.
Yeah.
Because the research that I had seen was it was a returnable book. Kirkman said, order as many as you want. If you don't want them or don't sell them, return all the extras to me.
Yeah.
And so I said, now some people were being really silly about it and saying 500,000 copies. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, nobody does that anymore. Like 500,000 for one printing, just it's not real. That's not a real number. That's somebody being silly. I actually did the research, continue follow-up research. Is about 123,000 is what it was, and the like 3 books previous to it were only 55,000.
Oh wow.
So it was about double what the other ones were. And I tried to tell people, wait till it gets down to $20. I said, I think personally I'll settle at 10. And that's about, it's in the 15 range right now is where it's back down to. It was all for people with the fear of missing out. Do you guys, as new comic book guys, do you guys see that as being like a pitfall for new comic book collector, like new comic book day comic book collectors? Do you think that's a pitfall, or do you think that that's something that is really not a big issue?
I'll let you go first, Todd.
Well, as a new comic book day collector, the way that I try to balance it out is one day I walk into the comic book shop and I get Totally Awesome Hulk 22, right? And everybody wants it. Now, I'm not a seller. If I was a seller, I'd put it on and I'd make my money. And then the money that I made would balance out all the other stuff that I bought just because I want to buy it, right? And so, I mean, that's kind of the risk that we take as the new comic book collectors is, you're really hoping to get that one key book that balances out everything else that you buy.
Right.
The other thing is, and this might go into this might be a little bit politically crazy, but at some point, paper might be very valuable. And people might not want to spend money on paper, right? And people might not want to buy comic books. So, like, I'm going to hold on to my comic books, and my kids will probably have to deal with the problem of selling them at some point, right? But, I've got something tangible that I own. And so if anything ever happens, I have tangible books that I own. And the one thing that I like about being a new comic book collector is you can go in and you can buy like a pristine book where, like, if you buy a book on eBay, you don't know what you're going to get. But I can go buy Totally Awesome Hulk 22 and it can be pristine. And I know it's perfect. I know it's a 9.8. If I get it graded 9.8, it's perfect.
Yeah.
So I mean that's my opinion.
Yeah, I would say really a lot of it's a gamble. Really the hardcore fans. So let's say IDW put out Once in the Future #1. Not many shops ordered, well, not many shops. Shops didn't order many. You know what I mean? So let's say they got like 4 copies or whatever. So me knowing that, okay, it's a small print run. It's a #1 issue, obviously. I called my LCS ahead of time and say, hey, you know, I know you're getting this book in. Can you hold me a copy? And already he's telling me, yeah, I got 25 people already asking for the book. I'm like, oh my gosh. So, but he knows that, you know, there's people flippers. You got flippers everywhere. You know, everybody's flipping a book.
Right.
So I'm like, and he held one for me, and he held the 1 per store variant for me as well. So I was like, okay, cool, thank you. The thing is, a lot of it's a gamble. So going back to what you said, Totally Awesome Hulk 22. You know, you go in there, you grab one, word spreads like fire in the internet community, in the comic book internet community. Word spreads like fire. So before you know it, you're like, oh, that's a hot book. The moment you pick up the phone to call your shop, they're like, hey, we're already sold out. Somebody goes in and buys, you know, 5 copies of it or whatever. And now, you know, even comic shops are getting hip to it because then they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. We want to be fair to everybody, 1 per customer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then you may have a comic shop, you may have like 2 within a span of, I don't know, let's just say 10 miles or whatever. I've done it. I've gone to one shop. They didn't have a book. Okay, cool, no problem. I'll drive 10 miles to the next one, or just hypothetically, and I'll grab the book there. Or if they had it here, I'll grab it here. And since it's a hot book, let me cover myself. I'll go to the next shop 10 miles up the road or whatever and grab another one. And then, you know, like you said, Todd, if I wanted to flip it, I'll flip it and that'll cover me. So I think a lot of it's a gamble, but we live in a day and age where word spreads fast.
It absolutely does. And the more plugged in you are to your community,
Yeah.
the better odds you have of being in the know on stuff like that. Like I said, you know, I can't rely on my memory. That's the reason why I love like CLZ. I feel like I preach it. CLZ, so I know what I have, so I don't buy doubles of stuff I don't want doubles of.
Right.
And then Key Collector, so that I know what's smoking hot coming down the pipes at us. That it helps because I can't remember every single thing, but like you say, once it hits those apps, it then very immediately thereafter hits Facebook, hits Instagram, hits YouTube. You know, I mean, it's all over the place in a matter of minutes, hours.
It's literally like blood in the water, and the sharks are coming.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's one reason why I hate to say this, I don't really feel that sorry for folks who miss out because there's so many avenues to get the information. I'm not the smartest. I'm not the quickest. I'm not the nicest or the prettiest. I just know where to be, and I know. Thank you for reaffirming that, Todd. It's very nice of you. Thank you so much. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's just something where you know where to plug in and who to talk to, and it helps you stay ahead of the game. But the thing too is I don't like it when people say that they missed out and they're like, man, I'm a really big fan of XYZ. I can't believe I missed out on it. Dude, why wasn't it on your pull list? If you're such a huge fan, like Todd with his preview there, come on, man. You got a preview that you can get from the LCS. If you're buying books from them, a lot of times they're just going to give them to you if you want them.
Yeah.
Or at least they'll have a store one that you can run through and look for your favorite ones if you're a fan, you know.
Right.
I really kind of feel like, and I have said this to people on Facebook, and so I should really apologize to them publicly because it's not my job to rain on their parade. But on the flip side, I'm like, most of the people who are complaining about missing out, they're speculators. They're just ticked that they weren't quick enough on the draw,
Pretty much.
or flippers. And again, I'm not using that term I'm not being derogatory with that term at all. It's a legitimate part of the community, and those people serve a purpose and give a service to other collectors, some of which may not have an LCS at all. They may be doing everything through the internet, and their shop, they just didn't know. But I don't feel sorry for many people who are like, man, I missed out. Just sorry, man. Prepare better next time.
Well, you know what I've been seeing too? A lot of online retailer shops. Like you have the Comic Mint, Unknown, Midtown Comics, and Frankie's and so on. So outside of the variant books, they've been having orders, where you can order books in advance or whatever. So I think that's good too. But then before you know it, that stuff sells out quick, and then you're right back to the market on eBay.
Yep, absolutely, it does.
John, you always sound so much older. You tell me how old I am all the time, but my God, John, you can't remember. Did you brush your teeth last night? I can't.
This morning, I brushed my teeth in the morning. No, I'm just kidding. I brush my teeth a couple of times a day. Thank you very much, God. Mainly because I forgot if I brushed my teeth earlier in the day or not.
You're right. One other thing I just want to say on and this is actually kind of like a curse, I think, is my comic book shop guy has almost become my friend, because I go there every Wednesday, and that comic book shops aren't raking in the dough. I mean, they survive on us, and so like, I've said many, many times, I gotta cut back. I gotta buy less. Look at Key Collector and just buy the ones that Nick tells me that I need to buy, right? But I'm friends with my comic book shop guy, and I want him to succeed. And I love comic book shops. I love the experience of being able to go into the comic book shop. And unfortunately, my wallet takes the hit because I'm such a nice guy. But I mean, that's one of the reasons that I do buy the new comics, and I pray that I get the Totally Awesome Hulk 22 or the Thanos 13. I mean, I guess it's just like you're helping out your friend, basically.
Yeah.
And so we've gone pretty long, so let's get some final thoughts here. So let's start out with Ursel. What are your final thoughts on all of our crazy conversation that we had today?
I enjoyed the conversations. I would just say, if you're a movie fan, you like the MCU and, you want to continue to support it, go see the movies. If you're just a comic book fan, and even not just the MCU, but obviously there are other superhero movies, if you like it, go see it, enjoy it. Keep collecting comics. I'm just anticipating for, the next phase of stuff, that's coming out. Boom Studios and IDW, have been really hitting it hard, with Power Rangers and the Ninja Turtle stuff. Like, it's been bananas with them. And so it's good though. It obviously Spawn and Image and other independent stuff, but the things outside of the big two, outside of Marvel and DC, there's a lot of good stuff out there. So that's it. Nothing long and drawn out.
Go ahead, John. What are your thoughts?
Man, I actually am not sure for the first time that I have a final thought other than I really enjoyed our conversation tonight, man. And I hope all of our listeners stuck around for the entirety of it, because it's absolutely worthwhile. There's the one thing that I try to remind folks is, you may not like everything, but there's going to be a nugget here or there that you're going to take away from the conversation that you're gonna be like, I can use that right there. We're trying to give folks good information that they can take action on if they want to. So I'm going to remind our listeners to like, share, and subscribe. All of those fun things. That's all I got, Todd.
All right. Well, I guess I'll wrap this one up. I mean, first of all, thank you to both of you guys.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys.
And really, like, we met on Facebook, right? I mean, I haven't met either one of you guys in person, and I feel like you guys are my brothers. And I know if I met you guys in person, I want to give you guys a hug. It really, the community that we have created is such a beautiful thing. It doesn't matter if you're male, female. It doesn't matter what you look like.
Yeah.
We as comic book collectors, a lot of us just kind of we accept each other. We love each other, and we love to share this information, and it's a beautiful thing. Check out the Collector's Corner. Check out the groups on Facebook. Shinwar has got his own YouTube channel. Shinwar, can you tell us how do people find your YouTube channel?
It's youtube.com/ShinIsWar. And you can check me out on Instagram at geekingout_official. Yeah.
And definitely check out Shinwar. Like I said in the intro, I mean, this guy's an inspiration. He loves comics, but he teaches you about comics as well. And he tries to help you find the valuable comics. And I really appreciate it. I'm glad that we had this conversation. And I should probably shut up at this moment so we can all go to bed.
And real quick, I like what you guys are doing here. Like, it's a really good conversation. Just talking, having a conversation about things that we enjoy and that we love. So I really thank you guys for inviting me on here, and I definitely look forward to doing it again with you guys.
Awesome, absolutely.
And there's an open invite anytime. If something pops up to where you're like, we need to talk about this, let us know. And if you want to share this on your channel or whatever, just let me know. But that's it, everybody. Peace out.
Cool.
Be good or be good at it.